what? The guy that forces for the Irons Man. In DC, he was the bar man, short for claw bar. So you can imagine a guy with his buddy with a sledge or an axe trying to swing at a point on this. And if the idiot had it like this, probably a few pierced biceps back in the day. This was a striking area. They gave me this when I retired because we have these standards. Every company that's a ladder or a rescue or a fireboat or rescue squad, they have to have a certain minimal standards. And this was still on it about until a year before I retired. This used to be pretty green. They kept it in another box, so when we would have administrative inspection, this thing looked real nice. But I'm going to clean it up someday. All right, so a guy that doesn't get any credit, well, like I said, this went by the wayside in the 40s. Captain Kelly from the FDNY, maybe some of you have heard of him. He invented the Kelly bar. Well, the Kelly bar was black iron. It was three-piece, like this. But just picture this. We had Kelly bars when I got hired, okay? The Kelly bar is very, very much like a Halligan bar, except it didn't have this. So the rookie in the rescue companies had one. So when you're searching a burning building, you're crawling and the heat's down. It's nice if you have a Halligan bar. You know, you're searching like this. You have a place so you don't scrape your knuckles. Well, they always give the junior man on the rescue a Kelly bar, and he always was breaking his thumbs or using a lot more energy than someone else. So Hugh Halligan, the inventor of the Halligan bar, he had a way with metal. He means a lot to me. This man, I never got to meet him, but I met his grandson. His brother was with the Lost Battalion. He was a priest. He sacrificed his well-being in World War I when all the guys got gassed. His brother was an NYPD captain. Hugh Halligan at the time was a captain, I believe, in 1948 when he invented the predecessor to this. The original Halligan bar, he beat it out by hand. He melted the metal, you know, and beat it over an anvil. And that's why today, if you find the original Halligan bar, it's probably worth $800 to $1,000 on eBay. But there are some that are 29 inches, some that are 28, some that are 30, okay? He used, this is 4140 carbon, okay? He eventually got a mold and he drop forged these. So they become more, you know, uniform in size. His bar, these forks were a little shorter. This didn't have any kind of a curve, it was shorter. And this was a little different. So when a guy named Laughlin and a guy I know, Bob Farrell, one of the most decorated firefighters in the history of the United States, they retooled this, okay? When he made the bar, you guys have probably heard this. He introduced them to the shops and the quartermaster of the FDNY, and they said, we can't buy them from you because you invented it, and you're a member of the fire department. It'd be a conflict of interest. So in Syracuse, Boston, and DC, we bought them right away, but they're all stolen now. You know how firemen, right? But I had one for my riding position eventually in the early 80s. One of the things they improved was, gave this a mechanical advantage by putting, anybody know the name of this part? Pads. These were longer, and this part right here. The forks are thinner. See why this would void the warranty of the door? See this going around? It just takes longer. It can be done. And his name used to be in there, and something in Latin that was real religious, something Catholic down in here, and something Hugh Halligan. So those two firemen, he had already retired, he's still alive. They went to him and said, Chief, we fine-tuned your bar. We want to keep your name on it. And he said, oh, that's quite an honor, lads. let me ask you one thing. You going to sell it to the FDNY? The guy, he's getting a pension from him. They go, yeah, we're allowed to now. Don't put my name on it. So that was about, I don't know, 64, 65. And this is the standard to this day. Well, just recently, in the last 3 years, Bob Farrell again, who, by the way, is the owner of Firehooks Unlimited, okay? Anybody that has a fire service retail shop just about buys everything from him when it comes to these kind of tools. He has the corner of the market on this, the 8-pound force axe, this. Anybody know what this is? Duckbill lock breaker for padlocks. Works awesome, but you can make this in quarters. You get a nice piece of steel and another shaft piece, and you can break any padlock. This is the Farrell hook. I'll get into this after. We can do a lot with this hook, especially since it's steel. So he also has a, you guys have a rabbit tool or a bunny tool here? We carried it. I worked in a company with a guy that invented the rabbit tool. His last name was H-A-R-E. My daughter's new married name too, Hare. So they called it the rabbit tool. And somebody came along. It was a hydraulic pump with about a 30-inch hose, and the teeth open. It only worked on doors that open inward. We conducted 100 contests at the academy with the rabbit tool versus a man and another, two human beings with the Halligan and the flathead. They won 85 out of 100 contests because you had to crib up. That shaft would only extend so far. You had to put some cribbing in. So this and this together beat that every time. So this is such a basic thing. It's like every year the Dodgers and the Orioles, they have handbooks in the major leagues. They go back to basics. To me, the Halligan and the flathead are very, very basic tools that we need to think about those when, even if we're approaching a safe with a bank teller trapped inside a time safe. Let's try our, first we got to do this though, right? For purposes here for the rest of the day to save time, we're going to assume these doors, they try before you pry stuff. You guys don't have to do that, but you are going to come up when it's time and you're going to simulate shocking the door. So when we shock a door, we go high, bang, bang, bang. What am I doing there? Anybody? Well, we might be trying to get a gap, but we're also kind of feeling for what? Locks, right? So I encountered many times double locks. You guys encounter that here. Every now and then you get an oddball where you got a pin up here. Then we do really appreciate one of those hydraulic rams to open that door. So let's go over the parts of this real quick. We're going to be using this primarily, but this is the new invention. I got ahead of myself. This is the Maximus Rex. This is probably close to a $300 tool that Bob Farrell has these forged now. And on this end, these tines are what? Anybody know? Lockboard. There's a Rex tool that we carry in a pouch for the barman in DC that would accommodate the ads that slid over. That's okay, Chief, we're good. So you guys get one, and a lot of guys, they'll mount the key tool in here, okay? But this is lighter than that. This, my father is a machinist. He's machined all these bars here. This is Plain Township's bar here. Now, I want you to look right here at the shoulders of the forks, okay? Do you see that? So if we get in a blindfold situation, if we get in a close quarters situation, and we have to strike, we don't have the privilege or the luxury of striking like this. We want to do this. Watch what happens. So, guys all over the United States are getting their bars fine-tuned like this. That's why we tune it here, right there at the shoulder. And there's a couple other little adjustments, but the parts of this right away, the pike, the pick, the pike, whatever you want to call it. This is the adze. This is the shoulders. These are the tines of the fork. This is a balance point that's pretty close, okay? We also shave right here. See that bevel right there on the top? Just that little bit of a raised piece of steel will slow you down getting in here, okay? We shave that one. The top of this also has a raised piece of steel. We shaved this one. And then when you fine tune your tool after with an angle grinder, this tends to peen over from beating on doors, okay? There's other marks we put on here too. The 1 3/4 mark right here. This is more important than any other mark on this bar because we have this as an identification for depth we'll get into later. And I'll get into this more too when we do an evolution where the door opens away from us, okay? I want to get into some of the commands. These are very important. I've taught this course so many times. I went to some department in Jefferson County and they got it right every time except for the last evolution. I think it was, geez, I don't even know the name of the department. The commands when we're swinging this axe. And by the way, once you take a knee, okay? Hold this. You grab that 8-pound axe. When you're manning the Halligan, you're in charge, okay? You're not going to watch it, okay? Let's actually stand up. You're going to take one knee. Okay. Now, watch what happens. Watch what happens. Now, turn your elbow out, okay? Once is this pronate? When you put your hand like this, put your hand underneath. Look what happens to his elbow. He's tucking that elbow in. A much safer position. Now, I don't know if any of you guys out here play baseball, but we don't have a really good degree of accuracy. You're going to need to move a little bit, just a hair. You don't have a really good degree of accuracy when you swing the flathead like this, right? So if we swing this one, taking one knee, one hand down about 10 inches. If you're right-handed, put the left knee forward. You're going to try to take vertical hits on the shaft going that way, okay? Vertical hits. Easy peasy, I didn't tell you that. Okay, so the commands are hit, that's one hit. Drive is a series of hits until the guy in charge believes you've reached your destination. And then the last one, it's hit, drive, and stop. And it usually goes in that order. Hit, drive, and stop. Okay? You guys can use the 6-pound axe all you want. So I encourage some of you, when we come up here, you're gonna grab a partner, but one person for one part of the evolution is gonna run the bar, and the other person is gonna be the strike person. Now let's get into that philosophy for Pleasant Valley. You're not gonna have the luxury of having two guys a lot of times, but if the company officer comes off the piece like this, you know, marrying the tools, all right? He can always go to the front porch, ask for help. The guy can't get in there to attack the fire, squirt his water, unless we get in the door, right? So the officer probably, I don't know, am I correct? Would the officer have the Halligan? Force point, maybe the high command? Whoever it is going to need help. Okay, so try to work that into your role in your fire department today, okay? And if you marry them like this, there's no need for a strap. All right? So let's get close up here. We're going to show you what the door does. I'm going to use this instead of wood to start off with, okay?
About last time, right? You leave it there.